Hello everyone and welcome to Magic in the Kitchen with Chef Merlin. Today we're going to make a traditional English bread and butter pudding. Now this is a recipe I've gotten from my dad, who is actually English. I'm sure he probably used custard, but since coming to America, pudding is a lot easier to find. At least it was back when I first started learning how to make this. And so I'm just going to make it with vanilla pudding. Make sure you get the cook and serve type of vanilla pudding. And you're going to need about 12 to 14 slices of bread. I got 7 set up right here for the first half of what we're doing here. You're going to need some sort of butter or margarine, and of course you're going to need milk for the pudding. You're basically going to be preparing the pudding just as the way it's done on the box. The very first thing I usually do is I go ahead and start buttering our bread on one side. And you're going to get all 7 of these set up before moving on to the next step. Okay, once you have the first 7 pieces of bread buttered, go ahead and cut them in half diagonally. And what we're going to do now is place these in our pan, making a row of them, making a little Christmas tree type formation, overlapping slightly with each one. It's better to do this with slightly older bread than what I'm using today, just because it holds a little bit better on you. And just overlapping them, you're going to make a row, and then another row right next to it. If you have kind of a smaller pan like I do, I just kind of squish them a little bit, make sure they get down in there. This is what it's going to look like. You just got those 2 rows slightly overlapping, and that's going to be the first layer right there. Now go ahead and get your other bread out. However many slices you use for this first part, that's how many you're going to need in the second part. Since I wound up needing all 7, that's how many I'm going to get out. I'm going to go ahead and butter this bread just like you did the other ones. Then after you get it all buttered up, just go ahead and cut it like you did before. This half you're just going to leave off to the side for a little while. And the next thing we're going to do is get our pudding started. What we're going to need for that is 2 boxes of cook and serve Jello. Remember, cook and serve, not instant. Try to use the instant, it's not going to work very well. And we've got here 6 cups of milk on the stove. And we're going to turn this on to about a medium heat. Add in our pudding mix. And again, you're doing this just like it says on the box, so you don't have to really listen to all this if you don't want to. Just follow directions on the box for this part. Just mixing up, and join me back in a few when this is ready to go. Welcome back. Our pudding mixture is just about ready. Now the package says to bring it to a full boil, but really for this, all you really need is for it to be really steaming and starting to get thick up on you to where the spoon actually doesn't easily sweep through like when you first started making it. So we're going to go ahead and take that off and put it to the side for just a second while we go ahead and get some raisins. And we're just going to sprinkle some raisins all throughout, however many raisins you want to put in here. I'll probably use about 1 box per set of these little tiny boxes. And now we just pour about half of this on here, try to keep it over all of it. Now we take the rest of our bread and we're going to line it the opposite direction we did the first time. Again, butter side up. Flatten this down just a little bit. And pour out the last of it. Sprinkle on some more raisins. We're just going to push this down a little bit with our spoon. Just make sure it gets down into the mixture a little bit, because this bread's going to want to float just a little bit. Okay, this is what the bread and butter pudding should look like just before you put it into the oven. Now we're going to put it into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 30 minutes until we can stick a toothpick in and it comes out mostly clean. That's when we'll know that it's done. So come back in 20 to 30 minutes and we'll see how it is. Okay, we've had our bread and butter pudding in the oven for about 25 minutes now, and it's looking like it's done, but just stick in a few different places. And yeah, that's coming up pretty clean, so it's done. It's ready. Now you wait about 15 minutes before serving this. You can wait longer, put it in the refrigerator if you want to serve it cooled, but I generally like to eat it hot. Now, I made this with vanilla pudding today. Of course, you can use Bird's Custard, which you can find at World Market here in the US or overseas like Australia or England. Of course, it's commonplace. Or you can just use the vanilla pudding like I did. I've also thought about using some cinnamon in there. I have not tried that yet, but that might be a good addition if you were looking for something. Really, this is a very simple recipe to make. You know, it's like 4 ingredients. You've got bread, you've got butter or margarine, you've got raisins, and you've got milk and pudding. So 5 ingredients. And you have a nice, easy dessert. It's very delicious. One of my favorite things to make. So get in your kitchens and try this out, and stay tuned for more videos.